with the very, very talented Eddie Redmayne. You're going to recognize him from roles in My Week with Marilyn and Les Mis, and now he's starring in The Theory of Everything. It's an epic portrayal of renowned physicist Stephen Hawking and his relationship with his first wife.
What if I reverse the process all the way back to see what happened at the beginning of time itself?
At the beginning of time itself?
Yes. So the universe getting smaller and smaller, getting denser and denser, hotter and hotter as we...
You mean wind back the clock?
Yeah, exactly, wind back the clock.
Wind back the clock.
Is that what you're doing?
Eddie, good morning. Nice to have you back.
Lovely to see you.
Wow. I mean, this is a story of Stephen Hawking, his first wife, Jane, his work, and his illness. How did you... He talked about things in science that none of us will ever understand. So how did you go about making him relatable?
God, well, I started by trying to sort of educate myself as much as I possibly could, and I gave up science when I was like 14 or 15. So trying desperately to comprehend what he had achieved scientifically took a while. And I'm not going to lie, I went to kind of like astronomy for children websites to start off.
Hawking 101.
Genuinely, but really it was about meeting him and meeting his family and his first wife Jane and his children. I mean, we gained so much from spending time with his children.
Yeah, he was diagnosed with ALS back in the 1960s. I want to put that picture back up for a second because a lot of people thought he would live 2 years, and he is still alive at 70-something years old. What was it like to meet him?
At 72. Do you know what? When I met him, by this point I'd spent 4 or 5 months researching, and he'd sort of become idol-like in my mind. And so when I actually got to meet him, I was so nervous that I basically just sort of spewed forth information about him to him for about the first 40 minutes.
Like a sycophant.
Genuinely like a sycophant. I kind of calmed down a bit after that.
I am a huge fan of yours, and you're a great actor, but there's an added complexity to this role, and that is the physicality of it, because as he progresses with his disease through the 25 years or so this movie covers, you have to progress, and you knew this would be challenging. How did you do it?
Well, I started by going to an ALS clinic in London and meeting a specialist there and many people who suffer from this sort of brutal disease, and really, yeah, just trying to educate myself. But I then worked with a dancer to try and find a way of putting that physicality into my own body, because unfortunately when you shoot films you don't shoot chronologically, so we're having to jump between the different ages. And
so at some point they're saying, no, Eddie, you got to go back to when he's more advanced, and other times, no, he's less advanced in this.
Yeah, it was interesting. Just the first clip that you showed was the very first scene that we shot, and that was him sort of young and healthy. But then that afternoon we were sort of in the second wheelchair, and so it was a ride, but it was amazing.
Just give people an idea of what it's like as you transform yourself. Take a look.
So what next?
Prove it. Could prove with a single equation that time had a beginning. Wouldn't that be nice, Professor?
So what you do with your voice and your mannerisms and your body, it's extraordinary. Let me read some reviews, okay, because they are really good. Redmayne towers. This is an astonishing, genuinely visceral performance. It goes on. This is more than just skillful impersonation. It's inhabitation. And people are, and we say this too often, but they are talking about Oscar nomination for this. What would that be like for you?
Oh my gosh. Firstly, thank you. You can come back.
I didn't write
this
it.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, but do you know what? When Felicity Jones and I were cast in this, it was the most formidable privilege for us, but also the stakes were pretty high because we knew Stephen and Jane and the family would see this film. So when they did, and they were kind and generous about it, that for us was the greatest reward. So any other sort of buzz, of course it's lovely, it's really flattering, but I hope it encourages people to go see their story.
It's richly deserved. I encourage people to see this. The movie is called The Theory of Everything from our sister company Focus Features. It opens Friday. Eddie, always good to see you.
So nice to see you.
Pleasure. Good to see you.